Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shalom and I am a woman who wears many hats. Today I'll be speaking to you in my capacity as a mom of two. Now, as you can probably see from the title, I'll be speaking about my top book recommendations for moms who are about to have a baby. Whether this is your first baby, whether it's your second, whether it's your fifth, and you just want to learn a bit more about babies, about birth, about breastfeeding, then this is the video for you. Please do stay until the end because I'm not just sharing book recommendations. I do have a bonus resource which is free, and if you stay until right at the end, you'll see that book resource. Now let's dive in. Okay, so the first resource I will be sharing with you is a book by Sonia Killick, and it's Birth If Yeah. It's an honest guide to natural, epidural, and cesarean choices. Now, Sonia isn't a birth professional. She's just a mom who had a really terrible experience in within the first year of her parenting journey, her motherhood journey, and she drew on her strength, which she basically gained from her birth, to overcome this really bad experience. I'm not going to give it away because you need to obviously read the book, and it's such a powerful story. And I love what she says. I'm going to actually read it here for you. When she says, birth is so much more than a process of getting your child out of your womb and into the world. Birth is about transformation and courage and awakening. Childbirth is about birthing your own power, wisdom, and strength. It's a turning point in your life that has the power to dissolve your fears, solidify your being, and bring an inner sense of peace that cannot be described. Absolutely love that. And this book is actually such a great guide for you if you want to know the differences between natural birth, between cesarean birth. If you also want to know the different interventions that can happen when you're giving birth, this is honestly a great resource. You can actually purchase this book in a digital format. I actually had to email her because I said I actually want the hard copy. I prefer hard copy books, so she actually sent this through to me, and she even wrote a little note there for me, which I thought was super awesome. And currently Sonia is actually a life coach, and I will have the link to her book in the description below. You can purchase it from her website directly, and like I said, if you want the physical copy, you can probably just email her, and she has updated it, revised it, and the new revised book title is Birth, Empowering Women Through Their Childbirth. And that's basically because she wanted to tone down the language a little bit and make it a little bit more, a little less crude, if I can put it that way. But that is definitely my first resource. How did I hear about Sonia? She was actually on my favorite birth podcast, and now you know what that bonus resource is going to be, but I'm only going to mention the name at the end, and so stick till the end of this video for you to get that. But she was on the birth podcast, and which is an incredible resource, and she was just talking about the rates of natural birth versus cesarean birth. So she is very pro natural birth, but she does mention cesarean as well, and the reasons why you get to a cesarean birth and all of that. So if you want, that's the first book recommendation I can recommend to you if you are also very pro-natural and you want to learn the differences between natural and Caesar, as well as the interventions that you can have during birth. The second book recommendation is the Hypnobirthing book, and this is by far my favorite, and I am totally biased about that. I'm going to say so. I am biased about this being my favorite because this honestly changed how I gave birth to my second baby. This book you can only get, so this is Hypnobirthing, the Mongan Method by Marie Mongan, and this book you can only get in South Africa when you do the hypnobirthing course. So what happens is the hypnobirthing course is a 5-week course that teaches you, that gives you all the tools you need to have a beautiful birth. It doesn't necessarily just cater for people who want to have a natural birth. It's also if you want to have a Caesar, and it just helps you in terms of preparing for that, overcoming your fears, having the right tools in terms of your breathing, etc. And what I like especially about this is they give the history of birth. So she doesn't just go into detail about where we are as the world now in terms of birth and the different techniques you can use to prepare for birth. She also speaks about the history of birth. She goes into the different, basically from the Victorian era, how birth used to happen. And she also speaks about the differences between the Western world and our more like the Oriental tradition, as well as your more African traditions, where birth never used to really be in a hospital. And she kind of goes really in depth about that history and about why it is that birth isn't supposed to be painful, but so many people have this idea that birth is supposed to be painful because in the Bible it says so. And she really delves into that history a bit more. So if you want to learn about the history of birth and you want to learn about basically, if you want to learn how to have an amazing birth, regardless of whether it's a natural or a cesarean, I highly recommend doing the hypnobirthing course. I was so blown away by this course and the amazing birth that I had with my second daughter that I decided to become a hypnobirthing childbirth educator. So I will link down my details in the description box below, and you're welcome to contact me to learn all about hypnobirthing. This is one of the books you get as part of that course, and then you also have other course material as part of that, but I'll speak about that in another video. If you do want me to speak about that, just give me a thumbs up in the video, please. Alright, so that is the second book resource for birth, and she also does delve into breastfeeding quite a bit. That's really, if you're going to do the course, I highly recommend you do the course, regardless of whether you're going to have a Caesar or a natural birth. My third book recommendation is this one, The Womanly Art of Breastfeeding by the Lesch League International. So the Lesch League International is an international organization which was formed in America in 1956. So they've been around for 65 years now. And basically how it formed is that there were two moms in America who were sitting in a public park with some of their friends, and they were busy breastfeeding their children. It was a picnic. And so many other moms really spoke about the frustration they experienced when it came to breastfeeding. And these moms, heard their friends' cries and decided with 5 of their other friends that, hey, you know what, guys? Let's create a group where we as women can help educate one another. So they started off by having a series speaking about the pre or antenatal aspects to breastfeeding as well as postnatal aspects. And then other women kind of also joined and continued being in the group for much longer than that, just for the support and to kind of get more information around breastfeeding. And to this day, you'll find Lesch League leaders all over the world. And the Lesch League really stands for helping moms continue to breastfeed for as long as possible, because they know that breast is best, and just kind of giving you the right information, the right education for breastfeeding. In the past, in the 50s, the other thing they used to do is they would, moms would write letters saying, they have been discouraged by their doctor to stop breastfeeding for whatever reason. So the ladies in the group decided, we're going to send these letters through to a medical advisory board. And that's basically how they managed to get the medical fraternity behind them, because this board would then review the letters and then they would kind of agree or disagree on the said doctor's information. So remember that it's a group of doctors who were saying, yes, no, you need to keep breastfeeding, or no, what the doctor is saying is correct and you need to stop for whatever reason. And basically, all that information was collated into this book. And the great thing about this book is that it's very much like a question answer kind of book. So this is the kind of book where you should probably have it if you're breastfeeding, and let's say you have a question on mastitis. You know, you just go to the index, you look it up, and then you can go and see what they say about mastitis. There is another resource, an online resource, and I'll include that. It's called Kelly Mom, and that is a great resource for breastfeeding questions. They also have other resources in terms of for birth, etc. But it's really a great resource if you want to breastfeed or you're having trouble. They have a wonderful wide variety of information. But this is like the mother of all breastfeeding books. And the great thing about this as well is that the Lesch League in South Africa, they have a Facebook group. You can join the Facebook group. I can't remember if I actually joined so long ago that I can't remember if you get asked questions to join the group. And I can't remember if it's a public group or not, but you'll find it. Just search Lesch League in on Facebook, or I'll link the link to in the description below as well, and you can just click through. And the great thing is they currently, because of COVID, they're having online meetings, and it's great if you're currently breastfeeding and you want to know, my daughter or my son has this or that issue, how can I fix it? Or you can even just type your questions in the group. There are so many questions already that have been answered in the group, so if you just search in the group itself and you have a specific query, it's very likely that they've already answered someone on that. And there are also Lesch leaders in the group who then answer questions, and you know then that information is verified because it's from a Lesch leader, and they know what they're speaking about. So yes, the prerequisites for becoming a Lesch League leader are quite intense, if I can put it that way. So you know that this person who's giving you this advice isn't just sucking it from their thumb. They actually know what they're speaking about. So yes, so book number 3, The Womanly Art of Breastfeeding. I actually got mine on Takealot, so you can check it out on there. Okay, and my 4th and final book recommendation that I would give is this book right here, The 4th Trimester, a postpartum guide to healing your body, balancing your emotions, and restoring your vitality. Now, my favorite thing about this book is that if you read it beforehand, it will really help you prepare for the 4th trimester. It will really help you plan for the 4th trimester. I mean, it's even got appendices here which help you in terms of, for example, postpartum sanctuary plan. Like, what do you want in your postpartum circle? Because we know that the postpartum period is really sacred. Those 3 months post-birth are so sacred. So knowing who you want in your circle, knowing who you want in your home is so important. And it's important to kind of create the boundaries before you even get to that point. So I love this book because of that. It really helps you think about those aspects beforehand. It's got things like the postpartum relationship plan. So you and your partner can actually speak about, like, okay, postpartum, this is what I would like. This is what I think I would like. Obviously, then once you get to the postpartum period, things may change. So it creates that thing where you already have an open communication about how your relationship has changed or how it's going to change because of this new person in your lives. It's got dividing household chores. It's got a letter for meal train participants. So basically, a meal train is where you get different either family members, friends, colleagues to make meals for you and your family, and kind of come and drop them off for you so that you don't have to stress about cooking, after in your postpartum period. It's got a sign for your front door. Now in South Africa, it's not common for us to have houses that don't have gates, where people just rock up, especially for those who live in estates. It's really difficult to get to someone's house and be like, go, I'm outside. I don't think that's really necessary in South Africa. But if you want to, let's say you live in a complex and you have a few friends in your complex and you don't want them to kind of just barge in, there's that sign for your front door. There are essential foods for postpartum healing, which is really amazing. And there are recipes. So remember that because this is an American book, a lot of the information she speaks about is specifically for American women. I think now in South Africa there are many places where we can get certain things, and also I think it's important to remember that we have our own foods in South Africa. Like if you look for the equivalent online, you'll see research is so important. So I love that this is an introduction into your postpartum care. It helps you to start thinking about postpartum, what you want. It helps you plan for, you know, that period, the first 3 months afterwards. And then it's also got information afterwards about how to get your vitality after that postpartum period, how to kind of reconnect with your body. And as a mom, I know this so well, that it feels like you're foreign in your body sometimes. Like after you give birth and after the postpartum, those first 3 months, it sometimes can be really difficult to get back to who you were before, or just coming to terms with who you are now as a mom, whether it's being a mom of one, a mom of two, etc. And I think it's really important to know, kind of have a guide on how to get back to being the person you were, or not necessarily get back, but also being able to take what has happened, bringing this beautiful blessing and kind of making sure that you are still connected to who you are internally. So I personally loved this book. This is definitely a bonus. You don't have to get it, but I highly recommend it. It's really beautiful. Okay, and the final resource, which is the free resource I was speaking about at the beginning of the video, is called Fear-Free Childbirth with Alexia Leachman. Now, Alexia had what we call tocophobia, which is the fear of birth, and she didn't even know she had this until a later stage. And I mean, when she gave birth, I think her kids are like 15 or so now. I can't remember, but basically the reason she started this podcast is because she realized there wasn't enough information out there for new moms, especially for moms who are incredibly terrified of giving birth. And if that is you, I highly recommend you listen to her podcast. Even if you're not necessarily scared of birth, she's got such a wide, like it's been going, I think, for I don't know how many years, but she's got a wide variety of topics. And I mean, that's where I learned about hypnobirthing, and that's also where I learned about Sonia Killick, whose book I mentioned first in this video. And it's honestly such a great resource. I mean, she speaks to moms, she speaks to birth professionals, she speaks to lactation consultants, doulas. You know, it's an amazing resource if you are pregnant, and especially if you're in the early stages. I used to listen to this before even before I fell pregnant. I discovered this podcast because I was looking for resources. And honestly, I listened to so many episodes, either while I was at work, either when I was, you know, commuting, and it was really great. I even used it for my second daughter. Not as much as the first time around, but there were still new episodes that had come out by the time I had my second daughter. Well, by the time I got pregnant with my second daughter. And I thought, you know what, I'm still going to listen to this because honestly, it is my favorite. It's my favorite. She also has a book. Unfortunately, I haven't read it yet, but you can purchase it from her website. I will link her website in the description box below. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I really hope it has been useful. If it has, please do give it a thumbs up and share it with an expecting mom, preggy mama. I am so passionate about helping pregnant moms, as well as helping moms who have already had their babies kind of go through that transition into who am I now. You're welcome to contact me if you would like to do the hypnobirthing course. The details are all in the description box below, and if you want more of this type of content, please do subscribe. Have a wonderful day, guys. Bye.